Hi, today I'm going to show you how to knit this placket color. Let's get started. Few days ago, I finished this vest, and this vest has placket color. And in that tutorial video, I wasn't quite sure that was good explanation or not. So I decide I am going to make one more video only talking about how to knit the placket. So maybe you can understand it better. And today I made two samples. I used the same needle but different yarn, so the size is a little bit different. Anyway, the one with the no stitch at the bottom of the placket, I bind off, and then the other one with stitch, I didn't bind off. I transferred the bottom of the placket stitch onto cable needle or stitch holder. It's really up to you. And compare both two, and then maybe you can pick whichever you want to use. Leave the stitch or bind off and create your new stitch. It's really up to you. I'm going to start with no stitch at the bottom of the placket. First of all, you have to knit up because there's no stitch, right? And whenever you're knitting up new stitch, you should face to right side. If the pattern says you have to knit up from the wrong side, you got to do it. But this time you have to face to right side. And then I want you to knit up from bottom of the placket to the top for this the project. Anyway, I want you to remember one thing. After knit up, the first row should be on wrong side and starting from top to bottom. And I'm right hand, so I gotta use that side first. And then, the starting wrong side from top in next row. Anyway, use the new ball of yarn and then create the new stitch. I am going to use the different color of yarn so you can easily see what I'm doing. And with this project, I would like to make knit one and purl one rib. So the stitch count that I'm going to knit up is multiple of 2 plus 1. And first of all, I knit up 7 stitch, but I change my mind and then I redo it and I pick up the 11 stitch total. In my vest tutorial, I use the rib, the knit 2 and purl 2. So, depend on the pattern. This time, I want to use knit 1 and purl 1. So, depend on the pattern. All right. Okay, so I finish, and my plan is from right side. I start with knit stitch and end with knit stitch. And important thing here is the bottom stitch. You have to finish with knit stitch. And again, with my vest tutorial, I use the knit 2 and purl 2. So I start with knit 2 and finish with knit 2 at the bottom. And it has to be knit stitch at the bottom. Okay, so wrong side, right side. And can you see the difference? Wrong side, there's a little bumpy line. This is the reason why whenever you knit up, you have to face to right side because you want to, have the smooth surface on the right side. Okay? And this is nothing to do with this placket, but maybe I should tell you anyway. And this is wrong side. So that's the side line, and that line is the bottom of placket. And you're now looking at the wrong side. And I told you I want to finish with knit stitch on right side. And now you're looking at the wrong side, which means you have to start with purl and finish with purl at the bottom of the placket on wrong side. So repeat all, purl 1 and knit 1 until last one stitch, and last one stitch will be purl 1. And my written pattern says then purl 1 from placket, and I'll talk about it soon. And knit 1 there and purl 1. Just repeating purl 1 and knit 1. And here comes the last stitch, purl 1. There you go. And pull the yarn, and now you have to knit up one stitch from the bottom of the placket because there's no stitch. Leave the working yarn front and put the needle from behind like that. And I just want you to make sure you're putting the needle in right place. Okay, right on the edge, like that, from behind, which is right side, to the wrong side, and then make purl there. So now you have a 2 purl at the end, which is from the right side, there's 2 knitting stitch. So you turn the work, now you're face to right side, and there's 2 because 1 extra. So I'm gonna decrease 1 stitch there, which is knit 2 together. Then now stitch count is same as before, and that's the knit 1. Then purl 1. Just repeat after that. This is the reason why I want you to finish with knit stitch at the bottom of the placket. So I finish on the right side, and you just have to actually repeat wrong side and right side, and that's the stitch I knit up. And you turn around, and then again you have to repeat row number 1 and row number 2. This is wrong side, and I'm just making sure that the line is straight or not. So this is the bottom of the wrong side, and last one purl, and then knitting up, So you have to look carefully and make sure the line has to be straight, right? So you really have to find right place to knit up. And I look at, from different angle and it's all good. So I knit up with purl stitch, which is put the needle in from behind like that and then purl one there. Just take your time. Yeah. Then after you knit up with purl stitch, turn the project and there's two knit stitch obviously. So knit two together there to decrease one stitch because you create the extra stitch on wrong side. There we go. Then keep knitting after that. Follow your pattern. And my pattern is just repeat purl one and knit one. Well, pretty much, the knit over knit stitch and purl over purl stitch because this is, the regular knit one and purl one rib until top. Then turn around and do exactly same thing and make sure alignment is all okay. And here comes at the bottom on wrong side. I made purl one there and let's knit up the third stitch. Make sure the rib should be, straight because, I'm knitting, different angle, right? Kind of sideways. So it's kind of hard because the even though knitting tension is same because same person but wrong, different direction. So you just really have to knit up, the straight line. Yeah, right there. So good thing about no stitch at the bottom, you can think, you can adjust easily. But bad thing about no stitch at the bottom, you know, you really have to be very, careful and make sure, the line has to be straight. Well, even if there is stitch, you still sink. So I guess it's just a preference, I believe. Okay, anyway, I turn around and knit two together there to, decrease the extra stitch and then knit over knit stitch and purl over purl stitch after that. And you just keep doing this until no more bottom of the placket. And now on wrong side again, I want to show you. Okay. Again, you have to make sure the line straightening up and try to decide where you want to knit up. Creates the extra stitch to attach bottom of the placket. Okay, there we go. Turn around and then knit two together there. You probably already get it, but I want to show you how to finish it. So just, be patient with me. Knit two together there. And rest It's all same. And I want to show you one more thing, how to knit up easily. Okay, sometimes it's really hard because the stitch is too tight or just tough. And if you like, using the crochet hook, you use crochet hook. Just put the hook in and then pull the working yarn with the hook. That'll be much easier. And then hook onto needle. That's it. So it's really up to you. You don't mind knitting up with just a regular needle, fine. Or if it's really tough, use the crochet hook and knit it together there. And that's gonna be my last row for this placket, I believe. Here comes. I finished the knitting on right side, and that attached to the pretty much the other corner. So I decide I am going to cast off, and which is knit over knit and purl over purl stitch cast off until the end. And whenever you're done, just cut the yarn and weave the ends off. But I want you to make sure the corner is secured. Now it's kind of loose, so and obviously using the back side, wrong side, so the right side surface, you know, doesn't show. And now you have to do the other side, but the other side, no more attachment at the bottom. Super easy. Just make rib, and the other side you can knit up from top or bottom. It doesn't really matter as long as you're facing to right side. And obviously you have to knit up same stitch count. And then I already made the rib like that. And now what you have to do is attached. And either way, on top or behind. And I decide I am going to attach behind. And just knit up. There you go. Oh, by the way, the second rib, obviously the length should be same as the one you just knit before. So I knit up 11 stitch total, and then I knit 12 rows. So I did exactly same thing without the bottom of the placket attachment. So you really have to write it down how many rows you knit. And you have to secure the corner, and that's about it. Here you go. And right side surface, very smooth. Beautiful. And now I'm going to show you how to do that with stitch at the bottom. knitting up part is all same from the bottom to top. So I already knit up. And then wrong side, start with purl 1, right? So repeat all, purl 1 and knit 1 until one last stitch, and one last stitch should be purl 1. Same rule. Here comes. I made purl 1 at the end. Now you have a stitch there. And what do you have to do? You don't have to knit up. You just have to make purl 1. That's it. And then turn around, and there's one extra stitch, right? And those two are knit. I'm actually using different needle. There you go. So knit two together to decrease one extra stitch there. And then knit over knit stitch and purl over purl stitch after that. Same, but there is one difference here. This is the bottom part. I already, knit the last stitch. Now let's look at the alignment. If you knit only one stitch there, the alignment is not straight. So I decide I am going to use 2 stitch at the bottom. So, it's going to be pretty much straight. So instead of 1 stitch, I am going to knit 2 stitch, which is purl 2 together at the bottom. The extra stitches, always 1. So purl 2 together. Then here comes 1 extra stitch on the right side. So knit 2 together there. So if you have stitch at the bottom, the easier part is you don't have to knit up. You just have to think you use 1 stitch there or 2 stitch there to make the line straight. So it's up to you. I like both way. And then, this is next wrong side, and I'm thinking, okay, I think I need only 1 stitch. So I made purl 1 instead of purl 2 together from the bottom. So that's the only difference between no stitch at the bottom or stitch at the bottom. By the way, with no stitch at the bottom, I knit up 5 times. There were 8 stitch bind off, but I didn't use 8 stitch bottom, right? And same thing here. I have 8 stitch, the placket stitch, but I didn't use 8 of them because, I did need to purl 2 together twice. So I use 6 times instead of 8 stitch. Again, because you're knitting different direction, so even if it tension is same, it's different, right? So it's really up to you. And knit 2 together there to this decrease the 1 extra stitch there, and everything else is all same. Here comes at the bottom. I did the purl 1 and turn around and knit 2 together. At the end of the placket, you really have to think. If you do this, purl 1 or purl 2 together at the bottom, you know, maybe it's going to be too long, maybe not. So you really have to think. And this is the last stitch. There you go. Knit 1. And turn around. And when you look at the line, I think this is it. This is perfect length. So if you knit one more row, it's going to be a little too long. So I decide I am going to cast off now. So that's how you think, if it's too long, too short, or this is perfect length. Okay, so, knit over knit stitch and purl over purl stitch cast off. There you go. Ending, you can actually end at the top or bottom. It doesn't really matter. There you go. And then I already knit the other side as well. And now I am attaching the loose one on top of the first one this time. So use that, the rib edge and then attach two together like that. So, some people likes, open left to right, and some people like, the open the placket, the right to left. It's really up to you. So you can attach the loose one on top or behind. That's totally up to you. Also, sometimes, people want to make the buttonhole and attach the button, right? So, the boy and girl, it's kind of different way sometimes. So, it's really up to you. So that's about it. How to knit the placket color. If you still have a question, please leave your question in the comment below. I'm trying to help you. That's about it for today. Bye for now. Enjoy knitting.